Alive and Well STL is a presentation of the St. Louis Regional Health Commission and RareGem Productions to build a healthier St. Louis. Power up with the positive. Learn more at OneRareGem.com. That's OneRaregem.com.
Support for Alive and Well STL comes from Beyond Housing, helps entire communities become better places to live. Learn more at beyondhousing.org.
The Regional Health Commission works in partnership with regional health sector advocates and stakeholders to improve healthcare access, reduce health disparities, and improve health outcomes for the uninsured and the underinsured in St. Louis City and County.
Alive and Well STL with Bethany Johnson-Javois, CEO of the St. Louis Integrated Health Network and Managing Director of the Ferguson Commission. Today we open the doors and expand the conversation of Alive and Well STL. You are invited to the table as an ambassador to engage in the next steps of this initiative.
I think what's important for all of us to remember is that we need to find out what has happened to people. So instead of what's wrong with that boy, what's wrong with that girl, what's wrong with that mom, it's what happened to that boy, what happened to that girl, what happened to that mom, what happened to that community. There is a story behind everything that occurs and every behavior. And what we need to do in terms of getting to Alive and Well is be willing to ask the question about, I want to hear your story. Tell me your story.
As an ambassador, you play an important role, and we look forward to your participation. We'll be right back.
Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning.
In what way were you part of today's team?
We have a whole team at the Regional Health Commission that worked really hard to make today happen in thinking through what are the 3-4 most impactful things that we could talk about today to really get people to start thinking about what's possible with a trauma-informed environment and how could our community change if we thought about it through this lens. And we wanted people to vision that, think about it, and inspire us to where we can go and to give us ideas of how to get there.
Alive and Well STL. Come on in for the sake of the future of our community. Now let's equip ourselves with the tools and information we can share with family, friends, and colleagues about how they can become alive and well. We are excited about this opportunity.
Good morning, Jennifer.
Good morning.
I'm hearing from people who are coming out of the sessions that the scenarios that were written or selected really resonate with their lives or people that they know. So how did you go about selecting some of these cases?
I think it comes from our own life experiences, right? And the things that we know are happening in our community every day.
Anything else in terms of our listeners that weren't able to make it to this session, but they need to join the movement? Are there ways that they can do so?
There's a lot of ways that they can engage. We'll have multiple meetings like this throughout the community, so we encourage them to log on to aliveandwellstl.com and sign up to receive updates so that they can sign up for events like this. If they want to really understand the science of trauma and what happens to our bodies when we experience trauma or toxic stress, there are training opportunities that are available in partnership with the Mental Health Board of St. Louis. They can sign up for that. They can also join the conversation on the social media app Bonfire that they can download on their smartphone and catch up real quickly on trauma-informed communities and what that means and what people are doing and what resources are available. It's a really easy way to sort of catch up on the conversation if you weren't able to be here today. So we look forward to more people joining us along the way.
Thank you so much for your time and for your work here at the Regional Health Commission. This is an outstanding event. We can hear the energy coming out the room into the microphone. Good morning, Ms. Rosetta.
Good morning.
So based on your
Can I
role
say
today,
good morning?
You can say good morning. Good morning, Ms. Rosetta.
Good morning.
So in your facilitated discussions today, what is your definition of alive and well today?
Wow. My definition of alive and well today, considering what has happened here.
Yes, ma'am.
Alive and well today is really understanding that we have assumptions and that those assumptions are not necessarily real. They're in our heads and our thoughts and our beliefs, and that we must really, really know the story before we can start to help and before we can start to offer ourselves, our resources, or anything else.
Share your insights, some of the things that you remember people saying that you thought was interesting based on your facilitation.
I guess I'm focused on assumptions.
Okay.
I had a person who did an assumption who refused to accept that it was an assumption. And I said, but that's not written in the story. And they said, but it's true. It's true. And I said, but it's not in the story. Mm-hmm. It was very difficult, I think, for that person to accept that that was an assumption that they made. And then I realized that there are people every day whose assumptions are truths for them.
That's right.
And it's very difficult for them to accept that it's an assumption. And so they base their actions, their deeds, and their beliefs on their assumptions. And it doesn't help people.
That's right.
Because they didn't ask, what is the story? And they didn't listen for the story.
Very profound. Was that person able to move in this conversation? Or do you think a seed was planted?
I think the seed was planted because when they looked at the assumptions, they saw something that they knew was an assumption.
Okay.
And they said, that's an assumption. I said, yes, it's not in the story. And I think they realized that what they said was not in the story also.
And it's so important for people to be able to tell their story their way. It is their truth.
It is.
And we receive that from them as truth, not making assumptions of what their truth is.
Exactly.
Anything else you want to share with us in terms of your observations or your contribution to this work?
I think the other thing that most not amazed, nor shocked, I guess, it just was good to see that people had great ideas and thoughts about how to have a trauma-informed community and to look at all the different perspectives from professional backgrounds and from just everyday people.
Okay.
Recognizing what we need to do as a region and as a city and a county to become trauma-informed.
That's right. And to become alive and well.
And to become alive and well. I wish you could just read some of these things. It was amazing because we have the answers. We have all the answers. We just need to figure out how we put them into a play and how to make them active.
And where do the answers lie, Miss Rosetta?
In us.
You didn't even think about it.
Mm-mm.
The answers lie in us.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely. And we can do it.
We can. If you could see how quickly and how many pieces of paper I have put on the vine for what it would be like, what we see the community looking like, what we see the community doing if we are alive and well. You know that it's us. It's not them that need to do it. It's us. One at a time, each of us.
Thank you. Enjoy the rest of your day and all that you're doing.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, Tinley.
Good morning.
Thank you for being here today.
You're welcome. Thank you.
So which scenario were you involved in?
I actually walked around to all of them.
Yes. And what are your insights?
I think they were a really great overview of the different kinds of people in our community and how they may interact with the systems and just what trauma may or may not show up as.
What within scenarios are you most challenged by?
Just all of the systems involved and how big of a change it seems like it's going to take to really become trauma-informed. It just seems a little bit overwhelming.
So what skills as an ambassador of trauma-informed care helps to kind of melt down the complexity of what we're seeing in these scenarios and in these systems that people have to navigate?
Well, I think each person has their various points of contact within different systems, and just being able to make those individual level connections and share the information will start to sort of chip away at the various system-wide just things that are in place. And so I'm just looking forward to seeing how each of us can bring what we already have to the table and start to just make that difference on an individual level.
As you began to participate in discussion, what was your contribution to the different scenarios?
Well, I'm a social worker, and I work with kids 0 to 11 who have experienced trauma. So I feel like I already have that trauma-informed lens very clearly. So it was pretty easy for me to walk into a scenario and say, oh, these are the questions I would want to know about their childhood as to how they may have gotten to this situation. So that was a lot of the contribution I brought. I actually sometimes found it hard to take that lens away and look at it from the kind of conventional perspective.
Because it's so ingrained now in you.
Yes.
That's exactly what we want for this region.
Yes.
Let's use this as a teachable moment. Help listeners who may not come from that lens necessarily. How can we coach them into knowing there is a new way of looking at things?
Well, I read a lot. So I find the adverse childhood experiences study very interesting. And so once I learned about that study, I tried to find all the information I could about that. The other thing that I think made it really easier for me to have myself become trauma informed is just to realize that what happens to us matters. And so much of society is trying to tell us that it doesn't, or that we should just get over it or move on. And so to even just think about our own lives and think about what happened to us in the past that maybe left us feeling upset or even just slightly disappointed, and to realize there's a reason for that. Like, we don't need to just gloss over it. And so I know for me, a lot of my own personal past in this journey, I've started to have some grace for it and understand that it has shaped me into who I am today. And so realizing that's true for every individual in our community.
Tinley, thank you so much for sharing your contribution and for being such a strong advocate for the trauma-informed approach. Have a good morning.
You're welcome. Thank you.
You're welcome.
We need to find out what has happened to people. So instead of what's wrong with that boy, what's wrong with that girl, what's wrong with that mom, it's what happened to that boy, what happened to that girl, what happened to that mom, what happened to that community. There is a story behind everything that occurs and every behavior. And what we need to do in terms of getting to Alive and Well is be willing to ask the question about, I want to hear your story. Tell me your story.
Alive and Well, STL. This exciting information was shared with our participants and volunteers from our Alive and Well Ambassador Open House. We bring it to you, our listeners, to be a part and engage as well. All are welcome to attend. Listen closely for more of the Alive and Well STL Ambassadors Initiative.
We are grateful for your gift of time to this conversation. We encourage you to stay involved and get involved.
If you, your family, or your organization is interested in talking about how we better the well-being of the region, sign up for more information, join the conversation, log on to aliveandwellstl.com, and let's build a plan on how we can work together and improve our overall health and become alive and well. The Regional Health Commission with Chief Executive Officer Robert Friend Jr. committed to providing a detailed review of change over the past decade in 14 leading health indicators for the city and county of St. Louis. The first decade review of health status report, an update to building a healthier St. Louis. Discover the narrative, the data, and celebrate the progress already made to improve healthcare access and reduce health disparities in our region. Learn more at stlrhc.org. Alive and Well STL is another positive production of RareGem Productions. Thanks for listening.